Hi BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys my very first weekly wrap-up of 2017. Let's skip January. It doesn't exist in my book. I'm going to ignore it. We're going to start fresh with February, and because February started on a Wednesday, it doesn't exist as well. We're ignoring it. Nobody wants to talk about it. But we will talk about last week, which was the 6th through the 12th, and in that week there were 2 readathons that I wanted to participate in. The main word is wanted to. There was the A Year-a-thon readathon and the TBR Takedown 5.0. Now there were 2 challenges for the A Year-a-thon readathon. The first one was to read a retelling. I didn't do it. The second challenge was to read a book that was recommended to you. I chose A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. This was recommended to me by Stephen King through Twitter. Thanks, Stephen King. And that's it. Did I finish the book? No. Let's move on. For the second readathon, that was the TBR Takedown 5.0, hosted by Shannon over at Leaning Lights. Did I finish any of the 5 challenges? No. Let's go. Let's talk about the challenges. The first one was to read a book that was on your shelf for over a year. That book here is American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I am buddy reading this with my friend Will over at My Bookish Empire. He's at university. I was binge watching The Magician. We didn't even pick this book up. The next challenge was to read a book that was a part of your last book haul. Again, that was A Head Full of Ghosts. Now, I did get to chapter 12, go me, and then I put it down. Do I like it so far? Absolutely. But did I finish it? No. All right. The third challenge was to pick up a book, the first book in a series. That didn't happen. The fourth challenge was to read a book that was a continuation of a series. That didn't happen. And the fifth challenge was to read a book that made you feel uncomfortable. Or, that's not how it goes. Out of your comfort zone, aka makes you feel uncomfortable. I did not do that one either. So, how did I do with those 2 readathons? Not a damn thing. I did nothing. I did, however, pick up Woman in the Walls by Amy Lukavics. This is part of my Emoji-thon, which is a readathon for the entire month. So I got a head start. And so far, I am currently on page 66. This is not scary like the first one was, which is really sad. Not that they were connected. Those books are completely separate. The first one is a standalone. This one's a standalone. I have not reached a part where it's like scary yet, so it's kind of boring. I hate that. Like, my main goal is to read a book that's scary right off the bat, but there's the world building that gets in the way, and I just wanted to get to the scary parts. I did start Finders Keepers by Stephen King. This is the Stephen King 2017 audio along for February. Now, if you've watched my actual announcement video, you would have seen that this was supposed to be end of watch, but I wasn't able to read Finders Keepers in December, so I'm reading this one for February. But if you're already reading end of watch, you're cool. I do like that this did not pick up with Bill Hodges from where we left off in Mr. Mercedes. It's starting with new characters, which is really cool because, you know, you don't want the series to be stale. And introducing new characters is always a fun way to get the ball rolling again. What did I finish last week? I did finish Dr. Sleep. So this is what the review, or this is what the wrap-up is going to be about. Not about the 2 readathons that I did not complete last week, but the book that I did complete, which was Dr. Sleep. Okay, Dr. Sleep is the sequel to The Shining by Stephen King. Here is a picture of the book that I want, like the edition that I want. I don't own it in the physical form. I own it on my Kindle, and that's how I was able to update you guys throughout the read, because I could figure out what page I was on through the Kindle. Anywho, so let's break down Dr. Sleep just a tad. So we have, it's 30 years later from The Shining. And The Shining was the scariest book I have ever read pretty much in my life. I mean, there's top contenders. There's It, there is Bird Box, there is Hex. Those are all contenders. There's Nosferatu. Again, another contender for the scariest book that I've ever read. The Shining was brilliant, and I absolutely loved it, and it was written in 1977, I think. 76, 77. So Dr. Sleep was written 36 years later. So it came out in 2013. And what I find so satisfying is that the transition is just, it's brilliant. We are introduced to Dan Torrance, who was the little kid from The Shining. He's now 30-something, and he's had a rough, like, teenage and adult life. It's been horrible, and that's because he has The Shining. He has, the ability to see dead people and to see like what people are thinking and to touch things and know what's going to happen. So he has these premonitions that freaks him out, and he doesn't want them, and so he has struggled a lot in his adult life. And when we meet him, he is, going up north on a bus, and he gets to New Hampshire, and again he has another premonition and realizes he should probably make camp there, make New Hampshire his home. And that's where the book really starts. Now we have a few characters in in Dr. Sleep. Again, we have Dan Torrance. We have a little girl named Abra Stone, and then we have the True Knot. Now, the True Knot is the villain of the book. And when I compare the first book to its sequel, the scare factor was gone for me. I think The Shining was so much more scary because it was like a psychological thriller where Danny was 5 and there's this deranged parent trying to, hurt him and his mom, and there's these ghosts that are talking to him, and it's really frightening, especially because our second main character is 5 years old, and so you jump into this 5-year-old's body and you're freaking out. You're like, oh, there's nothing this little 5-year-old can do to protect himself. You know what I'm saying? So with Dr. Sleep, our main character is in his 30s, and our villain is not a deranged parent, swinging an axe. It's these weird people. And so that wasn't as scary for me. I did enjoy the paranormal aspect to the True Knot. What they did was very, it's gross. It's obviously gross, but it just wasn't as gruesome to me. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. So it wasn't as scary, which to some people that might hamper their feelings for the second book. I don't know. It's not hamper. It's damper. Why did I say hamper? It might damper your feelings. That's what I wanted to say. As for the writing, it was just amazing. The way that Stephen King could remember the characteristics and the traits from one character to the next to make it fluid and have that continuation of familiarity. It was just awesome. Also, if you've read my Goodreads review, you will know that there is a bit in the beginning that mentions a little bit of Nosferatu. There's a character referenced in the beginning, which I was super excited about. And then later on down the line, you get a celebrity name that came from Mr. Mercedes. And I love that. I don't know if you would call that an Easter egg, like a literary Easter egg, but I just love that Stephen King can take bits and pieces, even from, like, not from his book, but from his son's book, and like place that in his book. I just, especially if you're a Stephen King fan and you've read his books, and then when you find those little pieces, you're just like so excited that you know what he's referencing to. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Overall, I gave it 5 stars. To me, Stephen King is like Harry Potter. So I don't know how not to give him a high rating, because I love most of his books. And I say most because I haven't read his entire collection. But all the books that I have read by him, I've loved in different ways. And so, yeah, I definitely enjoyed Dr. Sleep. The first, like 3 chapters is like kind of like building you up towards what's going to happen. So if you read Dr. Sleep and you feel like you're kind of bored at the beginning, it gets a lot better. You need to know who the True Knot are before you can continue on with the book. If he didn't have that bit in there, you would be lost. And so it's important to get past that little hump of the True Knot, because basically when you pick up the book, all you want to know about is Daniel Torrance, and that is understandable. Okay, so that is my wrap up. I started a couple books. I finished my audiobook for the month, and I've been failing at readathons for the last 2 months. So yeah, I will see you guys again next week in my weekly review, and hopefully I'll have finished some of these books so I can talk about them. So yeah, and that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. So, Missy, what did you do during those 2 readathons? Great question. Great question. I picked up 2 books. One that was actually on my TBR for that week, and then I binge watched all of season 1 of The Magicians on Netflix. And then I continued, watching season 2. There's 3 episodes. And the 4th one comes out on Wednesday of this week. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, I read the first book in the Magicians trilogy by Liv Grossman. I absolutely loved it. I think I gave it like 4.5 stars when I read it like 2 years ago, something like that. It's amazing, and I loved it. And I know that it's very iffy with people. Some people love the book. Some people absolutely despise the book, and it's all because of Quentin. He's a very depressed, cynical character, and I think that is so lovely. I love it. And the acting, I don't know what the actor's name is, but he's just so Quentin. I could go on all day long about The Magician. So if you like that show and you watch it, let me know down below, and maybe we can talk about what we liked from season 1. Try not to do too many spoilers, but it is on Netflix, so if you do want to binge watch it, you are able.